All right, let's get into it. Today, we are cracking open that mysterious black box of hiring. We're going to look at a brand new AI that is totally changing the game for how companies see our resumes. And, that has huge implications for all of us.
Come on, we've all been there, right? You find that perfect job, you spend hours polishing your resume till it shines, you attach it, take a deep breath, and you hit submit. And then, what? What actually happens next? Where in the world does that resume go?
Well, here's the tough reality. For just one single job opening, recruiters can be flooded with hundreds, sometimes even thousands of applications. It's not humanly possible to read every single one. And this massive volume creates something many of us have felt, the resume black hole. It's where your carefully crafted resume can just vanish into thin air.
So, for years, companies have tried to solve this in a couple of ways. You've got your human screeners, who are great at understanding nuance, but they're slow and they get totally overwhelmed. The other option is software, the old-school Applicant Tracking Systems, or ATS. Sure, they're fast, but they're also kind of basic. They're pretty much just glorified keyword finders, completely missing the real context of your experience.
So you're left with this incredibly frustrating system, what the source material we're looking at calls the resume black hole. It's a lose-lose. Companies miss out on amazing people, and talented people get completely overlooked. The core of the problem is that the old ways of screening, they're just not measuring the right things.
And this quote from the research just hits the nail on the head. It says, these old methods result in large mismatches. And that's the key, isn't it? This isn't just about speed, it's about getting it right. The old systems are creating these huge gaps because they're not even designed to measure what actually makes someone good at their job.
Okay, so if just matching keywords is a dead end, then what's the answer? Well, it lies in a much smarter framework, one that goes beyond the buzzwords to understand what a person can actually do. And this concept is known as KSA.
KSA, it stands for knowledge, skills, and abilities. Now, it sounds simple, but it's a huge philosophical shift. Instead of just looking for keywords, this framework tries to build a complete three-dimensional picture of a candidate. It's a way more holistic view of what someone really brings to the table.
So let's make this real. For a software engineer, knowledge is the stuff you know, like the programming language Python or how data structures work. Skills are what you can do with that knowledge, like managing a project or solving a really tricky bug. And abilities, well, those are your innate talents. Things like your analytical mind, your knack for innovation, or your ability to be a great teammate. You see the difference? It goes so much deeper than just listing Python on your resume.
Which, of course, brings us to the million-dollar question. How on earth do you teach a machine to see that deeper picture? How can an algorithm possibly learn the difference between just knowing about a tool, being good at using it, and having the raw talent to innovate with it?
Well, that is exactly what the research we're exploring today set out to answer. A team of scientists decided to tackle this head-on. They set out to build and train an AI recruiter from the ground up, teaching it to think in this KSA framework.
Their mission was crystal clear. Build an AI that could read any resume you throw at it, automatically pull out all the phrases related to knowledge, skills, and abilities, and, most importantly, classify each one correctly. And here's how they did it. First, they gathered over 300 real resumes from software engineers and cleaned up the text. Then came the most critical part. They had human experts go through every single line and manually label every example of knowledge, skills, and abilities. This created the ultimate answer key. With that perfect data set in hand, they could finally train different AI models to spot these patterns and score how well a resume matched a job description.
Now, the star of this show is an AI model called BERT. The best way to think about BERT is as a kind of super reader. See, unlike those older systems that just count words, BERT is designed to understand the relationships between the words, the context. It reads a sentence more like a human does, really grasping the nuance and the meaning behind it all.
Okay, so the stage is set. They have the data, they have the human-made answer key, and they have their star player, the super reader AI named BERT. It was time to put it all to the test and see if this thing could actually deliver on its promise.
So the big question was pretty simple. Could BERT actually do a better job than other, more standard machine learning models? Was it really superior at the complex task of understanding a human resume?
Well, the results came in, and it wasn't even a contest. BERT was the clear winner. You can see it here. It had the highest accuracy by a long shot. It also had the best F1 score, which is just a technical way of saying it was the most reliable at finding the right information without getting confused by the irrelevant stuff.
Let's just zero in on that winning number for a second. 78.6% accuracy. Now, in the incredibly complex and messy world of understanding human language, that is a huge victory. It means that nearly 8 out of 10 times, BERT correctly figured out if a statement was about knowledge, a skill, or an ability. And this is why that number is so important. It's not just about getting a higher score. It's proof. Proof that BERT's unique ability to understand context makes it so much better at decoding the true value hidden in a resume. We're moving way beyond simple keyword matching here.
So what does this all look like in practice? Well, they built a system where a recruiter can just upload a job description and a whole stack of resumes. The AI reads everything, pulls out all the KSAs from every single document, and then it calculates a match score. And what you get at the end is a simple ranked list of the best fit candidates, right at the top.
And you know, this wasn't just some academic exercise they kept in a lab. To make sure this thing was actually useful, they had real-world industry experts review the AI's performance. And the verdict? The experts confirmed that BERT was accurately spotting the qualifications that actually matter for the job. That's a huge stamp of approval.
This final quote from the study really just sums up the whole goal. The entire point of this technology is to make sure the most relevant candidates are identified and ranked properly. It's about making sure the best people for the job actually rise to the top, making hiring more efficient and more effective for everyone.
Now, it is important to be realistic here. This tech is incredibly promising, but it's not a silver bullet. The researchers themselves point out the limitations. For one, this model was only trained on software engineering resumes. You'd need to retrain it for other fields. And more importantly, an AI can't measure things like cultural fit, personality, or drive, and that stuff is still a huge piece of the puzzle.
And that kind of leads us to a final big thought. As AI gets better and better, freakishly good at judging the technical side of who we are, our knowledge, our skills, our abilities, it really makes you wonder, what is the uniquely human role left for us to play in the future of hiring? Definitely something to think about. Thanks for joining me for this explainer.